All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Tuesday, June 24th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns, brought to you by Rogue Sports Network. I'm Tanner Carlson. That's Jake Jimerson. And this is All In Horns. Don't forget to go and like, share, and subscribe. I know it is the off season, and I know there's not a ton of news, but here's the best part about it. We're still giving you daily episodes talking about sports, talking about the Texas Longhorns. So if you just need just a quick little, I don't know, a little dopamine boost of your daily sports takes, this is the perfect channel for you to subscribe to and to get that quick fix. And so today's episode, we're basically, did we just experience, Jake, the last great sports weekend or great sports week? Busy sports week. I don't know if it was how great it was, but it was a good sports week, and a lot of different things going on. But now that we are essentially done with all professional sports, all of college sports are basically wrapped up. All we've got is regular season baseball for the next 2 to 3 months until football season gets going again. We had College World Series. We had the Stanley Cup Finals come to a close. We had the NBA Finals come to a close. And we had a pretty good golf tournament as well that we're going to touch on. But, Jake, let's go ahead and start this episode off with the College World Series, give a quick little recap there, and talk a little bit about this LSU Coastal Carolina series. That LSU, man, great pitching, and the umps in game 2 were on their side. Immediately kicked out the head coach for Coastal Carolina, immediately kicked out the first base coach, which would have been the interim coach to fill in for the head coach. And so got them both out real quick. First inning, he just said, hey, by the way, you've missed a couple of pitches. Oh, you think so? You're out. Just kind of out of nowhere. The announcers, I don't know if you've gone back and listened to it, but they were just like, I don't see how you can make that call. I don't see how you can kick a coach out this early in a College World Series game in a winner-go-home scenario for this team. And he complained one time about your calls, and you immediately kick him out, not only for this game, but what would have been a game 3 if they needed one. They didn't need one, but LSU took care of business. And the SEC streak for national championships in college baseball continues.
Yeah, and I know that the umpire lost his balance and kind of fell. And I know the head coach in his post-game conference said something about you shouldn't get ejected because of your, in athleticism, if you will. And yeah, that I haven't heard the broadcast with it. I kind of saw the clip. I was traveling once again during the championship, but yeah, very busy. I think I've put like over 3,000 miles on my car in the last month. So ready to stay home for a weekend. But just an odd thing to do. I think everyone is pretty much universally agreed from what I've seen that it's just odd and just a horrible decision that they got kicked out. And it just the officiating woes of college and pros, but especially college, seem to just continue to show up in some of the biggest moments. And ejecting a head coach and then ejecting the interim coach too in the first inning makes a difference in a game. And I don't like when officials impart their way in a game like that. And it feels like umps, baseball. Other referees, you feel like they have really hard jobs to do just because of how many rules there are. And sometimes they aren't put in the best positions. I think umpires in baseball have the biggest egos of any referee in any sport. And half the time when they eject someone, if not more, it's just because their fragile ego got hurt.
No, I completely agree. And they do have some sort of like, I don't know if it has anything to do with the strike zone or what it is, but every single time any of their authority comes into question, they get so butthurt and bruised. And I don't know if that's just a baseball personality thing. I maybe they're just upset that their playing career didn't go nearly as well as they wanted it to, and so they had to become umps. I don't know what it was, but I do want to give a quick shout out. Cade Anderson, the LSU ace, great performance in that first game. That was followed up with another fantastic performance the following day. For why am I having a blank on the pitcher for today? The second guy who came in.
Yeah,
I
don't have that for
I
you.
don't know why I'm having a blank, but anyway, I'll get it here in a little bit. But just two back-to-back performances. I know that they were two of the top 3 pitchers in college baseball this season, and that's what it comes down to every single year when we talk about the SEC and we talk about these national championships. It's the pitching from Vanderbilt. It's the pitching from Mississippi or from Ole Miss. It's the pitching from this, that, and the other. And every single year, it comes down to how good the pitching staff is, and you've got to have at least 2 studs that can win you 2 games no matter what. And this time it was LSU. Now, the Coastal Carolina pitcher, Jacob Morrison, that was actually he had a pretty interesting stat. He was 12-0 and it only allowed an ERA of 1 all season long. And the only other pitcher to do that in college baseball, Paul Skeens. That's a pretty good company to be in, and that was the Coastal Carolina guy. Unfortunately, he had a tough day on Sunday with on the mound, and he got pulled, I think, within the first 4 innings when LSU went on that scoring run and got four runs by the 5th inning. So, but yeah, it was a fun series, but it just felt like LSU was in full control, really both games. Even though that first game, it was 1 run in the first inning. But Cade Anderson wasn't letting anything else go from that point on.
Yeah, I think he ended with like 130 pitches as well.
Yeah, it was over 125. It was something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of pitches. And yeah, just kind of clamped down on a Coastal Carolina offense that had been really good. Kind of shut down the Cinderella story, even though that would have been Coastal Carolina's 2nd national title in the last like 10 or 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
Still would have been,
2016.
I just had this up. It might have been 2013, but yeah, around 2013 to 2016 is when it was. But I was all in on Coastal Carolina winning, so I'm disappointed that LSU won, but they were obviously very deserving. They had a great run in Omaha and kind of showed what, Texas beat LSU earlier this season. Obviously, that doesn't really mean anything now with that regular season win. And Texas did lose one of their aces during the year, but I think LSU has shown you being really the most dominant baseball program of the 2000s. This is their 3rd or 4th national title in the 2000s. They've been to Omaha only 20 times, which is a lot, but also, Texas has been way more, but yet LSU has more national titles, winning 8 out of the 20 times they've been, which is damn near half the time, which is very impressive. And it goes to show you that, like you said,
all 8 of those since 1991. So within the last 35 years or so.
Yeah. And LSU's a little bit of a baseball school right now. They haven't found the success since that national title in football that it seems like Brian Kelly probably, I don't think he's the guy. I've never thought he's the guy wherever he's been.
Yeah.
And
he wins regular season games, Jake.
Yeah. But having an ace, having 2 aces, 2 reliable starting pitchers, and then having a really solid bullpen seems to be the key ingredient to winning a national title. Yeah. And Texas is on their way with that. I think they showed that this year that they are close to having that. But obviously did not have enough because the pitching was a big issue at the end of the season. And so I'm sure Schlossnagle is keyed in on that because I think the writing is on the wall with these, like you said, the Mississippi States, the Ole Misses, the LSUs, all these runs we've seen, Vanderbilt, all these runs in recent history, all evolve around their pitching staff.
Yep. Anthony Ayenson is the other pitcher I was thinking of. He's a junior. Cade Anderson, a sophomore, both of which are supposed to be first-round picks in this upcoming draft. And so again, when it comes down to making a deep run in the College World Series, if you don't have two pitchers that can take you the distance, then you probably don't have a pitching staff good enough to win the whole damn thing. All right, Jake, let's go ahead and move forward. Just real quickly, here's just a couple tidbits, but that does wrap up college sports. Basically until college football gets going. Oklahoma City won their first NBA Finals. Asterisks. Let's go ahead and create that narrative. Tyrese Halliburton, felt bad for the guy. Tore his Achilles. Probably going to be out all of next year. The Eastern Conference is going to be looking at no Jason Tatum, no Tyrese Halliburton for basically the entire year next year. Unless maybe Jason Tatum can make a late run, maybe into the playoffs for that Celtics team. But SGA and company, Lou Dort, the Dorter Chamber. I was impressed with Jalen Williams this series. I think he was the player that probably jumped out most to me on OKC of someone I wasn't necessarily that familiar with, but played a huge role in winning this series for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, I think his plus minus was almost the best in the majority of their wins.
Yeah,
he had the best plus minus in the game 7. But obviously what hurts the most for just how this game went down. It even though I know Indiana stayed in it for a while after Halliburton went down, but with how early he went down, you knew when it happened they had no chance of winning in the long run of the game.
Quarter, took the lead going into halftime. That third quarter, you just knew that Oklahoma City was probably that's whenever they were gonna put the clamps down. That's exactly what happened. Felt bad for McConnell after the game. That was a rough scene. He's hugging his mom, and then his mom gets mad at the cameraman and tries pushing the camera away. And but McConnell, he had, I think, the most points, rebounds, assists, and steals from a player coming off the bench in NBA Finals history.
Yeah, he was incredible all series. This Pacers team was a lot of fun, and they played with a lot of heart. And they kind of became America, ironically, because Oklahoma City had never won a title before.
Yeah.
And yet they kind of became the America sweethearts just because a lot of people don't, including myself, do not like the style of basketball that Oklahoma City plays, especially on the offensive end. And the way Indiana played was a pretty fun, exciting, fast-paced style of basketball. They played with a lot of heart, never gave up, no matter how much they were down. They were the comeback kids of the playoffs.
That's the Rick Carlisle effect, baby.
Yep. And then for Halliburton, who was I think everyone would agree, the star player, the heart and soul of the team, for him to go down with that. And right when you saw the replay, you could see it snap.
Yeah.
And you immediately knew the game was over. You feel sick for Halliburton, and kind of all the excitement of the game kind of went out the window for me. Even while they were keeping it close, I never was into the game like I was before it after that. And the NBA does not get game 7s very often. No. It is in
first
fact
one in 9 years.
First one in 9 years, which is just bad for I'm not going to go into it.
Yeah,
but
we could go down into a very.
It was a ultimate flop of a game 7. Nothing that the NBA could do about it. It's just unfortunate because the NBA had all eyes on them, and I think a lot of people maybe didn't turn it off, but had kind of this feeling I had after Halliburton went down, which was just a loss of excitement.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And Pacers were a really fun team, and TJ McConnell became America's sweetheart. Miles Turner, I talk about a Texas Longhorn, Texas kid, grew up watching Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks, and said that he remembers as a kid watching that series play out with Coach Rick Carlisle. And then he was coached by Coach Rick Carlisle, took him to the finals. And they asked him before the game kind of how he feels. He goes, I've been in the league for 10 years now. I'm just so grateful to be playing in a game 7 of the NBA finals. Like, this is a dream come true. I'm just kind of happy to be here moment. It kind of felt that way for the Pacers, unfortunately. Really all playoffs long. Every game that they won, it was like, we're just happy to be here. We're just, on to the next one. We'll just see what the next one brings. I'm excited about what the future holds for the NBA now that we're kind of getting away from you need 3 superstars to win an NBA finals. We're not really getting to a point to where it's and the Thunder, they built their team. They didn't just go in free agency and go grab a Kevin Durant and a Steph Curry and a LeBron James and D Wade and just build this team with through the free agency. They built this team through the draft and making trades and smart trades, and it doesn't even feel like, I don't know, where would you put SGA in terms? I know he's MVP of the regular season. He was MVP of the NBA Finals. I understand that, but like when it comes to he's not on the level of Jokic in my opinion. I don't think he's.
To be fair, I don't think anyone is on the level of Jokic.
I would maybe take a Luka Doncic over him. I don't know where do you put SGA in terms of just like the caliber of player on an all-time list of talent. I don't put him up there with Steph Curry in his prime or a KD in his prime or anything like that.
The NBA this year was the most fun I've had watching it in the playoffs in well over a decade.
Yeah.
Just the style of play was better. I still have problems with the foul baiting style
the Jalen Brunsons
SGA,
of the world. Yeah.
The Jalen Brunsons, the SGAs. That needs to be, if they just got rid of foul baiting and just started calling it an offensive foul or a tech, when it's clear and obvious what they're doing,
or just not call it at all,
or just not calling it at all like they used to.
Yeah.
That would fix a lot of my problems. But I will give Oklahoma City credit on what you said. They built their team. What's also incredible, I think I read they have everyone under contract for next year from this team. They also have multiple first round picks coming up. And they're probably only going to get better, which is scary because, again, it's all built. And so just an incredible job by their front office. But I did just see the tweet of the century from Reddit CFB. Imagine telling Oklahoma in 2001 that their state would win an NBA championship before another college football title.
Love it.
When they did not have an NBA team, obviously.
The Thunder obviously did not exist at that point in time. That's a great tweet. That is a tweet of the year. Put it down.
Yeah, very right now, way ahead for tweet of 2025 because that is hilarious.
That's a great point to make. Jake, Florida Panthers. We didn't really get to discuss them. Florida Panthers, they win the Stanley Cup. Man, is there a better celebration tour of winning a championship than winning a Stanley Cup?
No, the party that Stanley Cup champions go on after is untouchable in American sports.
It's literally a giant cup. It's a giant cup, so you get to just pour beer or whatever your drink of choice and drink out of it, and you just get to share all those germs with your teammates for the next 2 months until your off season starts kind of getting going and your training starts getting going again. But all the parade videos and Alexander Barkov going door to door in his neighborhood, just ringing on doorbells. And he's like, hey, come check this out. And it's like 4 a.m. Love it. Love it. Absolutely. I mean, there's not a better like championship run other than being like these. Can you imagine the stories the Stanley Cup can tell? If the Stanley Cup could talk, the stories it would tell, unbelievable.
It would have a lot of people in trouble. First off, a lot of people would be in trouble for doing some probably not the smartest choices.
Brad Marchand put a giant dent in it already.
I will stand by that. The Stanley Cup is the best trophy in sports, just from a trophy perspective, how it looks, all the names etched into it. And the just tradition of it, of how it's paraded around by the players, and it what I love about how NHL players celebrate the championships is they're all celebrating. They have their families, but they're also together as a team still celebrating the championship for so long after it, just hammered drunk for about a week until the parade is over. And then I think that's when they start to kind of, but like when I remember when Ovechkin won in Vegas, they were just parading around the hotels, storming with the cup around, just absolutely hammered. It looks like such a great time, and I can only dream and wait for what that will feel like when our Dallas Stars finally hoist that cup again.
Our time will come. Our time will come. Hey, real quick question, Jake. There have been slight offseason talks already about Connor McDavid and his maybe displeasure with the front office from the Oilers. Do you think there's a chance in hell that whenever his contract is up after this next season, that he does not return to Edmonton?
There's a chance because he has the say in it. Every single team will find a way to bring an offer to him.
Yeah.
Because he is the best player in hockey. I don't think
and it's kind of hands down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there will be people who will argue it, but most people, especially people who know the game, Gretzky's flat out said that he thinks McDavid is better than he ever was.
Yeah,
and that is not something that a GOAT typically would say, but that's how skilled Connor McDavid is, and you can't blame him for being upset because they just haven't found a goaltender that can get him across that last hump, kind of. And they just, I mean, granted, one thing I will say though is you can be upset at that front office. Florida is just cheating. I mean, they are one of the best teams in NHL history in this 3-year run.
And the moves that they've made, whether that be getting a Brad Marchand or some of the other moves that they've made, whether that be offseason or right before the trade deadline, every single move has turned out to be a move that helped them win a Stanley Cup.
And just the deals they've gotten some of these guys on that are there, for the long term. It's unbelievable. And then you have Bob and goal, and it's just, we felt like the Stars have been so, and ironically, I think the Stars match up a little better stylistically against Florida than Edmonton does. I don't think the Stars would have beat them, to be clear, but stylistically, I think they match up a little better, but obviously Edmonton stylistically just beats Dallas right now. That is proven in the last 2 years. But for them to do what they've done, 3 years in a row in a Stanley Cup final, they lost the first season, and then they've won the last 2. It just doesn't happen that often. But right now, the sport of hockey runs through Florida, of all places.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure if there's a team in the Eastern Conference that's going to just say, you know what, we're going to step up and be better than you next year, right off the top of my head.
The funny thing is as much as Toronto gets made fun of, and rightfully so with their history, they gave Florida every last bit they could handle. Now, the Game 7 was a complete and total embarrassment, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But they took them to 7. And that's got to be frustrating if you're a Toronto fan. But if you cannot be as tough as Florida, and Edmonton was a much tougher team this year than they were last year. And I thought they were going to possibly win that series, but Florida just, once they get going, and they get better as the series goes on, that's what's so tough about them too.
They get stronger. It's almost as if you get them in a Game 6 or a Game 7, they're going to close it out.
And you bring up the moves they make. Let me ask you this, because I have an opinion on this as well. Do they win this cup if Marchand if they do not make that trade?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, Jesus, how many overtime goals and game winners did he have in this postseason?
I mean, he was their best player during the cup, but granted, it does help whenever you get a Marchand and you can throw him on your third line. That's not fair, but this Florida front office is on a run right now. And let me tell you right now, they're going to be right back there again next year.
It's so funny. We've talked all this talk about Florida, and we have yet to even say the name Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah.
Who's arguably their best player.
Yeah. And his brothers having to sit up there and watch him win these Stanley
That's
Cups and
brutal. That's
watch
brutal.
him take a team-friendly deal and go to Florida, and they just
Oh, stop
win
it.
every Stanley Cup for the next decade.
Yeah.
Because right now they feel inevitable, and that doesn't happen much in the NHL. I know Tampa went on their run, so we have had a couple of these runs lately. But right now, Florida is still the team to beat going into next year, especially if Marchand stays there. That'll be a key one to look out for. But they seem to also just have the vibes. The blizzards, having the blizzards before the games.
The Rat King.
The rats. And they just get under your skin. I mean, every team just hates them by the end of a series.
Yep.
The rats get thrown on the ice for a reason because they're a bunch of rats.
They are.
But in the most complimentive way possible. Because in hockey, you got to be a little bit of a rat. The Stars could learn from that. They got to be a little bit tougher, a little bit more ratty in the playoffs when it gets down to those final four teams. Because when you get down to those final four teams, the intensity only goes up, regardless of how tired, how hurt, how messed up you are.
One of my favorite marketing initiatives that the NHL made this year was saying, oh, it's your dream to be here. Yeah, so is everybody else's on the ice. You're not the only one that's wanted to get to this point. And so it's just like every time that commercial came on, I was fired up, man. I was ready to run through a wall. Every time that I heard that commercial pop up, it was like, oh, it was your dream to be here? Yeah, welcome to the NHL. So it's everybody else's on the ices too. So what are you going to do to be better than that guy who's also, it's his dream to win the Stanley Cup? And so this year, Jake, I know I've probably said on the podcast before, I don't think I've ever watched more hockey this year collectively in my entire life than I did this past season, just with the Dallas Stars. Went to a couple games and just watched as many games. And having that Victory Plus app was super clutch. I got every single game that aired, and so if I wanted to just turn on a game, I could at any given time. And so, but yeah, really enjoyed it. I'm all in on the Stars now. I've got about 3 or 4 shirts and a jersey and a sweater and all sorts of things. But yeah, ready for next year. I did look at Texas Stars tickets. They actually did make the postseason, but they got eliminated. So their season
in the conference finals, the same as they had a nice little run.
Yeah.
I was glad you brought up that marketing thing, because that was one of the cooler finals marketing things I've seen from a sport in a while. Just the biggest lie you've been told is that the guy who wants it more wins it all, is going to win it all. That's not that is not how you win the cup, because everyone wants it.
Because everybody wants it more than you. Yeah. Yep. All right. Jake, let's go ahead, wrap up today's episode. So this was our last great sports week. This is why we're kind of going over all of the things that happened this week. Obviously, Oakmont was the week before, but the Travelers Championship, the tournament following the U.S. Open, had a lot of drama on Sunday, and it was the USA captain Keegan Bradley with a come-from-behind victory. He was down 2 strokes, I think, in the last 3 holes, and came back and won it over Tommy Fleetwood. And you got to feel bad for Tommy Fleetwood. Fleetwood, a English player, and so the entire crowd was just chanting USA, USA. And Fleetwood, if you don't know anything about his story, he's won, in world tournaments, but never a PGA tournament, never a tournament in U.S. soil. He's never won. And he had the lead after going into Saturday, had the lead going into Sunday as well, kept that lead all the way through until the final hole of the entire tournament. And he dropped a stroke. Keegan Bradley gained a stroke and won it outright. Didn't even take it to a playoff. 2-stroke swing right there on the final 18 on the 72nd hole of the entire tournament. And Keegan Bradley, the USA Ryder Cup team captain, wins this thing. They asked him after the tournament, Jake, they asked him point blank. They said, "Hey, I know you're team captain. Are you wanting to play in the Ryder Cup?" And he just said, "Go USA," and then left it there. So who knows if he's actually going to be able to play.
He would be the first player captain since Arnold Palmer.
Yeah. That's
is I
incredible.
believe what I had read, which is pretty unbelievable when you
And if
think
he can
about it.
manage to do that, talk about a career accomplishment, something only Arnold Palmer's been able to do. That's incredible.
Yeah, so that'll be we'll definitely have Ryder Cup coverage going on the now. It's during football season.
It's October,
Uh,
yeah, or
yeah,
September
or
or
I think
October.
late September. I
Late
think.
September.
We will be mentioning the Ryder Cup on this podcast.
Yeah.
It won't be the Ryder Cup is so much fun. If you don't know what the Ryder Cup is, go watch Full Swing season 1. They have about 2 episodes, I think, dedicated to the Ryder Cup. That'll give you a little bit of what it means, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. The players are very bought into it. The fans are very bought into it. And even if you're not a golf fan, it's a much more competitive and rude environment when you consider in golf terms.
Well, now
I would say.
they're gonna be up in Boston. So
Oh yeah, this year's going to be it's not going to be a fun time for the European players. Hopefully, both on the course and just through their eardrums.
Yeah.
Hearing Boston fans of all, and they haven't won a championship in a couple of years, so they're going to be really cranky.
Yeah,
they're on a drought.
They're on a 2-year drought of winning a championship in
Or no,
sport.
1-year drought. The Celtics just won last
Yeah,
year.
the Celtics won last year. Yeah, yeah.
The rich
a
get
1-year
richer.
drought. Anyway, well, that's a wrap up on our last our last good sports weekend. Whether that be all the sports being played for a little while.
Do you have the Open in July? But the Travelers is kind of the last. I think it is the last official signature event of the PGA as well. So now you really just have the Open, you have the FedEx Cup, and you have the Ryder Cup. That's what's left for the golf this year. And then obviously
big time
summer major. Unfortunately for the MLB, the summer is just the worst time. Other than going to a game, it's the worst time to just be watching it because you're just in the dog days of the middle of the season where you're just not even close to the playoffs, but you kind of know who's going to be in it.
You and I, we've discussed this. I mean, MLB season doesn't start till October, so I mean, at least it doesn't for me for most of the season. So you're not going to be getting a ton of MLB content on this page if you're a big MLB fan. Probably not the channel for you, but that's going to do it for today's episode. For Jake Jimerson, I'm Tanner Carlson. That is the end of the sports calendar for you in 2025. It was a great year. Looking for a better one going into 2025-2026 sports calendar season, which that calendar always starts in September for me. The moment football season starts, the rest of the season or the rest of the sports also follow along suit. So, all right, Jake, that's going to do it for our episode. As always, ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, and subscribe. And your daily reminder for all things Texas Longhorns, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.